e instituições. Estimular negócios. Promover as marcas portuguesas. Aproximar as empresas às comunidades portuguesas. Explorar novos mercados. Rede Global da Diaspora, um projeto da Fundação AEP ao serviço do país.
Next, we'll hear the message from the President of AEP Foundation, Mr. Luís Miguel Ribeiro.
A Fundação AEP tem por missão promover ações que contribuam para o desenvolvimento da atividade empresarial, nomeadamente nas áreas do empreendedorismo e da cooperação institucional e empresarial. Acreditamos que a partilha de conhecimento e a criação de redes de colaboração são uma importante resposta aos desafios da sociedade contemporânea. É nesse espírito que nasce a ideia da Rede Global da Diaspora. Depois do sucesso do Empreender 2020, regresso de uma geração preparada, que permitiu conhecer com maior profundidade o fenómeno da imigração, em particular dos jovens qualificados. Ficou claro que é urgente aproximar a diáspora portuguesa nas vertentes social, económica e cultural. Hoje, a tecnologia disponível permite colocar à distância de um clique um conjunto de serviços e funcionalidades aos portugueses espalhados pelo mundo. A cooperação será o fator que irá permitir uma maior partilha de informação, que se refletirá ao nível da captação de investimento e das exportações nacionais, valorizando o que de melhor Portugal tem para oferecer. A Rede Global já está presente em mais de 120 países, com uma ambição de envolver milhares de portugueses. Através da plataforma disponível em www.redeglobal.pt, a Fundação AEP pretende igualmente estimular um sentimento de união, de orgulho das marcas portuguesas e de ligação entre os portugueses da diáspora, criando uma rede de embaixadores da oferta nacional. É um desafio complexo, moroso e de compromisso entre todos aqueles que estão envolvidos no projeto, designadamente a Secretaria de Estado das Comunidades Portuguesas, a AICEP, a LUSA, a Rede de Câmaras de Comércio Portuguesas, o Instituto Camões e as inúmeras associações empresariais e comunidades intermunicipais. Acredito na força da marca Portugal e no enorme potencial das comunidades portuguesas espalhadas pelo mundo. A Rede Global da Diaspora será o ponto de partida para, com todos, afirmar Portugal no mundo. Obrigado.
To present the project Rede Global da Diaspora, I will hand over to Mr. Miguel Peixoto from the project team.
Hello guys, before I begin, I would like to thank Angela and PALCUS for these opportunities, and thank you all our people here present, Carolina, Marco and Rachel, for the testimonials they will give at the end. I'm going to share a small presentation that will be handed out at the end of this webinar to explain a little bit what we are trying to achieve. The global network is a platform to promote small and medium enterprises and leverage their exports across the world. Like the president of the IAP Foundation said, we're trying to map the Portuguese diaspora around the world. We have at least 5 million Portuguese and Portuguese descendants living in 178. Like Mr. President said, we've already talked to Portuguese around 124 countries, thousands of enterprise companies, hundreds of investors, and the networks around the world, the globe. Our challenge is how to foster business, how to create a leverage, and how to escalate businesses and companies. Our challenge is big, we know that, but we think that if we work together, the Portuguese communities can achieve many things. We created this collaborative social network to address all Portuguese communities in the diaspora. Our aim is to bring Portuguese communities together. We have to promote the Portugal brand and help small and medium companies to increase their exports, to promote their products, their services and businesses. Our sponsor, like you know, is IAP Foundation, the largest entrepreneurial association in Portugal. Of course, we have a lot of founding members from the Foreign Office to the Azores, Madeira, Instituto Camões, Turismo de Portugal, and others. Our main goals, like I said, is to bring Portuguese communities together, increase exports, promote the Portugal brand, foster business and partnerships, and attract investment. Our project finance is European, and I'm glad to announce that we've already been awarded a second round for sponsorship and finance for 2021 and 2022. And these webinars that we are doing now, we will tend it to be in these 8 countries that we've selected from our communities. But surely we'll be present after the pandemic passes, and we'll be close to our communities. The Portuguese diaspora is an ecosystem that we've encountered and we want to connect. This is all about networking and get people together working in this platform. Well, it's a free membership platform where you can meet the Portuguese companies, meet key Portuguese people and entrepreneurs with a lot of visibility throughout the Portuguese communities. And for instance, just something we would like to share, it's the Lusitanian roots. But of course, this is just a small example to map offices and branches around the globe. We sell products and Portuguese services. Anyone can do it. But we have other features for the future. But in the Lusitanian roots, you can go throughout the globe and see products and brands and see what Portugal has to offer. These are some of the Portuguese Lusitanian roots we've already encountered: the coffee, the codfish, the beer, the tin can, licor beirão, which is very nice, especially for Christmas, wine roots, restaurants, cheese and sausage roots. We have other roots already in place, but we'll share it during the following months. Well, the Lusitanian roots can create added value for global network members, promote consumption and acquisition of national products, Portuguese products, especially in this time of the year. Many Portuguese in the communities buy cod, buy octopus, buy a lot of Portuguese goods for Christmas supper. Promote establishments and of course meet retail and logistic networks. Which are the business benefits? Well, you know the Portuguese communities, you know the retail and logistics channels, you meet key Portuguese people and entrepreneurs, you get market information, you share business opportunities, you promote events, and you get talent and recruit talent. Highlights. We've started this project only in September. It was scheduled for March this year, but then we had the lockdown and we have to put everything online quickly. And we started out in September. We've already reached more than 4,000 members in 124 countries. So there will be 54 countries where we haven't met Portuguese, but we're sure they are there and they will be registered briefly. We have 10,500 establishments and more 1,000 Portuguese routes mapped. We would like to invite you to know the platform and enroll to meet other Portuguese, meet other businesses, and of course share with other members. Before before to pass to to the people we have here, I'd like to just to share a small video and give a warm welcome to our trade and investment agency, ICEP. They've been working with us across these 8 countries closely, helping us in close partnership. They also believe in Portuguese communities, and we're going to listen just a small video from the president of our trade and investment agency.
Olá a todos. É um enorme prazer poder estar aqui hoje a falar para a nossa diáspora espalhada pelo mundo. Portugal é um país muito afortunado porque, com a população que tem pelo mundo fora, não está naturalmente confinado nas suas fronteiras. É um país que está já espalhado pelo mundo fora e, eu diria até muito bem representado pela nossa diáspora em quase todos os continentes do mundo, e com uma presença sempre relevante nos países onde estão. Enquanto presidente da ICEP, é uma sorte que eu tenho, eu lido com muita frequência com a nossa diáspora, que está desde o continente americano, à Europa, mas também em países tão remotos como a Austrália. E aquilo que me tenho apercebido, e que acho que é muito importante reconhecer neste momento, é que a nossa diáspora é, acima de tudo, motivo de orgulho. Mas é motivo de orgulho também pelo contributo que dá. Dá um contributo positivo sobre a imagem de Portugal fora, dá sempre um contributo positivo, e isso é reconhecido por todas as populações dos países onde está, e naturalmente também dá um contributo positivo para Portugal, com toda a ligação que mantém com o país. Além disso, com as nossas 50 delegações espalhadas pelo mundo, e muitas delas em países com uma presença forte da nossa diáspora, a diáspora faz parte da realidade desta agência, da ICEP, todos os dias. Nós interagimos todos os dias com a diáspora, seja para fomentar negócio, seja para fomentar relação, seja para dar informação sobre as oportunidades que a diáspora também pode ter em Portugal. E, portanto, fazem parte da nossa realidade do dia-a-dia. Ora bem, é exatamente por isso e pelos objetivos deste projeto da Rede Global da Diáspora da Fundação AEP que a ICEP apoia a vários níveis esta iniciativa. O primeiro que gostaria de destacar, e o primeiro fator que creio ser relevante, é a premissa base deste projeto. A premissa base é simples. A nossa diáspora é um ativo valioso, distintivo e que fomenta a competitividade do país. A agência, a ICEP, acredita nisso e, portanto, estamos completamente alinhados com essa premissa. Depois o objetivo. O objetivo também é algo que para nós faz todo sentido. Aproximar as PMEs portuguesas, sobretudo no seu momento de expansão e desenvolvimento de atividade no país onde estão, para se relacionarem com a nossa diáspora. E porquê? Porque nós acreditamos que, através deste relacionamento, as empresas e as PMEs portuguesas em particular, ganham uma vantagem competitiva que eu diria até quase única. É sem dúvida uma vantagem competitiva distintiva. E por isso achamos que o objetivo desta iniciativa é absolutamente primordial e que estamos aqui a dar todo o apoio a este bom projeto da Fundação AEP. Eu gostaria também de dar destaque a outro aspecto e aproveito esta oportunidade para partilhar com a Diaspora que estamos todos a viver um momento particularmente especial na história do mundo, um momento de pandemia, mas isso não nos deve dar desalento, deve-nos sobretudo sim dar perspectiva sobre o futuro e esperança. E porquê é que eu digo isto? Antes da pandemia, Portugal estava num ciclo de claro aumento de exportações e de claro aumento da atração e angariação de investimento, tanto estrangeiro como nacional. Isso era muito positivo. Ora bem, só conseguimos estar a fazer isso pela competitividade das nossas empresas, pela resiliência também das nossas empresas e pela competitividade, pelos fatores base de competitividade de Portugal. Não nos esqueçamos que esses fatores base não desapareceram. Vão se manter e vão continuar. E, portanto, estou certo que com esses fatores de competitividade, com a resiliência das empresas portuguesas, tudo irá regressar ao normal e que iremos voltar a esta rota de crescimento que estava a ser tão importante para o desenvolvimento do país e para a qual, eu sei, a Diaspora tem também contribuído bastante. Portanto, meus caros, espero que partilhem desta esperança, mas acima de tudo que se juntem à agência e a todos nós e às PMEs portuguesas para fazer mais e melhores negócios. E nesse âmbito, agradeço-vos desde já o vosso contributo e desejo que utilizem muito esta ferramenta de contacto social, este social network que está aqui a ser lançado, e desejo que isto não seja só um evento de uma só vez. Espero que utilizem frequentemente e que graças a isto estabeleçam relações profícuas e duradouras. Do que eu conheço da nossa diáspora e também do que eu conheço das PMEs portuguesas, estou certo que sim. Por fim, queria dar uma palavra de agradecimento à Fundação AEP por partilhar este meu testemunho e por todo o bom trabalho que está a fazer no âmbito desta iniciativa. Muito obrigado a todos, contem com a ICEP e estou certo que iremos juntos mais longe. Muito obrigado.
We will now start the debate. For the moderation, I will turn it over to Mr. Miguel Peixoto.
Thank you. I think we have a small discussion, a few testimonials, but I don't know, Angela, would you like to say something? Thank you for your effort, but if you would like to say something, we'd be very glad to hear it.
Sure. Thank you, Miguel. And my apologies for my tardiness, having a few technical problems on my end. But I just wanted to reiterate PALCUS' support for this initiative. We think it's something that's very valuable and needed in our community. A global network is something that can really, truly bring us together, not only personally, but very much professionally. And I think, as we'll hear from our testimonials here today, that having this kind of network is incredibly beneficial for business and for professional development, and really making the connections that we're looking to make to further our success in many different ways. And so I commend your effort, Miguel, and all the founding members, organizations that are putting this network together. It's a lot of work, we know, because PALCUS has one that's just for the US, and we know how much work that is. So doing this on a global scale is times that by 100. So we commend you for all your work, and we're very happy to be a part of it. And I want to thank Carolina, Marco, and Rachel for agreeing to be a part of this discussion. Each of them have very different stories, but very inspiring stories. And I think once you hear what they have to say, it just, again, reiterates the importance of having this kind of network and helping each other and helping our businesses grow and helping the Portuguese diaspora become stronger. And so PALCUS, that's part of our mission. And so PALCUS is very happy to be a part of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela. Like I said, this platform is about networking, it's about sharing, it's about giving, it's about inclusion, And this is our third webinar. It was supposed to be the fourth, but we had some problems yesterday with the South Africa strike by COVID, so we had to postpone it. We have a mix always about, because we're very keen on gender equality, so we have always a panel of business entrepreneurs, men and women. And I would like to hear from Carolina Rendeiro, which is Honorable Consul in Miami. She has a wonderful story. So please, Carolina, if we could hear from you. You have to, we can't listen to you. Okay? Michael.
Okay, that happens all the time, okay? So it only makes us human. So I don't know, do you want me to speak in Portuguese, English? I don't care. I mean,
no, I told you to speak in Portuguese, but well, as we started out, and this is, we had some last minute arrangements. So if we all speak in English, it would be perfect.
Okay, so then that means I talk even more, okay? Because I don't have to think twice, right? So I was born in the United States, right? So, but my father always told me that he was an immigrant. And so I'm first generation. And he told me that we respect and welcome the country and are respectful to it and loyal to it, that opened their arms to us. But we never forget where we came from and our roots are Portuguese. So I learned Portuguese before I learned English at home, and then officially my brother and I became, as in many Portuguese households, we became the interpreters at a very early age for our parents in our communities, okay, in the United States. So I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, split my time between studying in Portugal and the United States. So I had a very open view from a very early age on what diaspora actually means, but didn't know the name diaspora. But that's what it was, because I actually lived my time in Portugal under fascism ruling and then would return to the United States under democracy. So I saw both sides of the coin, and that helped form me who I am today, and my beliefs and how I have faith in things that will turn around. Firm believer that challenges bring opportunities, immigration brings innovation, and we're constantly in Portuguese people. It's in our DNA. We are not negative. We always move forward and we pick ourselves up when something has failed. So I have owned my own business since 1986. I had workspaces for many years. Actually, that was 28 years in that industry of shared workspaces, co-working, really moved up the ladder on that in the industry, and then still today an expert in that industry. And worked with some people in Portugal on that when they first started doing co-working spaces in Portugal, and went out there and shared my expertise with them. Of course, as a Portuguese to Portuguese, free of charge, all right? That's what we do well, we love to share. And that really opened up my eyes to the entrepreneurial group. And that is what I really have focused on probably for the past 12 years, is really helping the entrepreneurs and the small and medium enterprises. And so I don't export anything or import. However, I have know-how. And I think diaspora needs to have know-how as an import and an export, because there are a lot of people like me here in the United States. I have met some of them through PALCUS or through other organizations that actually have the know-how I have in their fields, in banking and healthcare, you name it. And together, I think we really can help that younger generation, or even, the baby boomers of Portugal, because some of them may think that there's not an opportunity for them, and there is always opportunity. Right now, I think as we are all pivoting in the new era we live in, what is the new era? We don't even know that yet. But we do know that it has already changed education, because we're already here in the United States creating opportunities in the education system, but also in Portugal, because I've been reading on it, on new trades, teaching people more, even the elderly too, how to work with technology. And I think that is important to keep our generations, all of us, working in simultaneously, rather than some kind of being, they're talented, their know-how going to the wayside, when it actually is valuable right now, because we made mistakes. We corrected those mistakes. And I am always the first one to say that I have failed, I have succeeded, I have, rebooted and reimagined the way I work. And that happened again this year. Just when I thought I didn't have to reinvent anymore, there COVID came, and here we are reinventing again. I think the Diaspora program, and I loved hearing the conversation, the ICEP presentation, is that we have to look, Portugal is super, for the first time in my lifetime, people understand that Portugal is its own country and we don't belong to Spain. Okay, that has been the challenge in the United States, where people want to speak Spanish to us all the time. But we're not, we are our own people. We have our own talents, and we have such a wonderful workforce talent in Portugal that's not truly tapped into the way it should be and the way it should be paid, because they are valuable. They speak 3 or 4 languages, they're in science, they're in technology, they have arts and crafts that we don't even have, right? So I think that's something that they can also export into other markets. But what needs to be understood, excuse me, in my opinion, is that it's not always looking for the unicorns, okay? Our small and medium enterprises and our entrepreneurs are the lifeblood of economic development. To me, a unicorn, I'm not against them. I love them. It's hard to find them, okay? But when you find them, do they stay? And we've seen it in the United States that a unicorn comes in and then disappears, goes back to their own country, and nothing really came out of it other than, and it's happened in other countries, other than getting the money, the recognition, and then going back, all right? There's nothing against that, but we need to start looking at the potential that Portugal has. We have got to market Portugal in its talent, not only in tourism, but in its talent that we have. And I think Diaspora is the vehicle for that, because we can tap into other programs like the Sister City program. I'm very engaged in sister cities in Washington, DC. Our Sister City programs, through connections of both governments, education, economic development. We have right now 39 sister cities with Portugal, 39 in the United States. And really the only most active ones are out on the West Coast, and they're with the Açores, which the Açorians are on fire with really keeping and staying connected, but in business and education and culture. So I think that using and networking together with other organizations, not only in Portugal, but here in the United States and in other countries that the Diaspora program is working in, on a grassroots level, will really help us expand on business, on culture, and education.
Thank you, Carolina. That's wonderful. You mentioned that the co-working spaces and stuff like that. Well, you know that yesterday was the first day of the 3rd Web Summit here in Lisbon. So they were talking about the ecosystem and the number of co-working spaces for people, young entrepreneurs, and the city has been changed. And the thing that amazes me, and we have another webinar for the social movement and clubs 3 weeks ago, and the thing that amazes me is this last year was the year that many Portuguese descendants from the United States came to study in Portugal, and eventually they would like that some of them would stay and work on one of those co-working spaces and get their businesses here. Do you have many approaches from Portuguese companies to work in the United States or even in Miami?
Okay, so I do, so that's what I do, right? My business is companies out of Portugal and the EU as a whole. That's my main focus, that want to do business in the United States or in our hemisphere, going into Latin America, because I've worked that market for 23 years. I open the doors for them. So if they want to go from point A to point B without having to go through 4 or 5 or 6 people, then I can make that connection. I don't sell their product, but I open that door for them, and they have that initial impact and they go in and sell. I work through organizations that have co-working and incubators and accelerator programs, which I used to run myself. I work with those organizations and connecting the Portuguese startups with them. And this past year has been kind of hard to do that because of COVID, but prior years I've been on the Web Summit website all day yesterday, today, with the exception of being here right now. But I think that the possibilities exist even through our embassies. Okay, so the embassies work both ways. Okay, so our Portuguese embassy in the United States should be looking to and working with, which I think they are, through the consulate corps, working with our markets, and what do we have in our markets that will benefit Portuguese workers and startups and everything else, because the U.S. embassies are doing that abroad to bring people from those countries that they're in to the United States to join forces. All right, I'm a firm believer, and I've seen it happen over the years, is that you can and you should look at companies like startups. There may be a startup that has a product that's almost final, but is missing one key component to it, and they just can't figure it out. But if we're engaged with that group, then on the other end, you have a company in the United States that's in the same predicament. And how do they then join forces and create a product that benefits both? So it benefits Portugal and it benefits the United States, because then they have offices in 2 places, they have their product in 2 places ready to expand. And that was an opportunity that was brought forth by connections, either through the Diaspora program, which I think is awesome forward, through the embassies, through even, the trade offices. But the deal is we all have to work in the same sandbox together. We cannot be siloed. ICEP can only be doing, in my opinion, okay, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, and I hope not, because I'm speaking from my heart, because I'm passionate about this, is that we need to look at those small entrepreneurs, okay, and we need to look at the small business enterprises that want to come to the United States. And so I know that they're doing their startup program right now in San Francisco. I think it's going on these days as well, with 10 startups that they're showcasing. I haven't been able to follow everything because there's just so much my brain can consume on the computer without going blind. But I think out of that, there's got to be follow through to the public, so we know, so that we can help. Okay, we don't hear any follow through. We hear it like in blurbs, but if you use the consulate corps around the world, people like myself that would love to help, we're more than willing to help. I'm sure we are. And I know I am, because I think it would be, it opens the doors for us. It makes us stronger even in our markets, because then we work with the federal government, we work with the state government, and with the local government. And so right now, my main focus is trying to connect Emerge Americas, which is our big technology conference here in Miami every year, with the Web Summit. And we were going to do that this year. However, COVID happened. But I'm going to move forward with that, because I used to be the vice president of operations for them on international. and they agree with me that it is a good fit. So I think that, that's what I look to do. And I think that we all have to, we can't be siloed. We have to be able to work together.
Yes, work on a global network. Thank
Yes.
you. And now we have Marco. Marco has a travel agency specialized in the American and Canadian market to Portugal. And I think today you host a webinar to promote Madeira, wasn't it, Marco? Tell us your story.
Yes, and first of all, thank you for the opportunity, Miguel, and everybody. It's great to see some familiar faces online. We did host a webinar on Madeira a few days ago, I should say. We've hosted actually over 65 webinars in the past 4 months, all within Portugal, some of them on different regions, but a lot of them on the food and wine, culture, destination weddings, and so forth. So we really pride ourselves in being sort of the unofficial Portuguese ambassadors for the American market to Portugal. Having a travel company these days, it's challenging. As Carolina mentioned, COVID has sort of put a halt to most businesses, and especially in travel. We're obviously very restricted in what we can do. However, what we can't stop doing is inspiring people and connecting people. And I think this is a great venue that allows us to do that. And I think, being Portuguese, being born in Portugal, and then moving to the United States at a very young age, I decided early on that I wanted to remain connected to Portugal beyond just my heritage. And I wanted to express some of the great things that I knew about Portugal, the great experiences through business. And, part of that passion came from the Diaspora area where I was living in the East Coast. So I think that sort of encompasses a lot of what's being said. And, being passionate about something is great, but when you have such a forceful of Portuguese community and those traditions around you, it gives you even bigger impulse. And so we launched on this initiative to create our own company, Sagres Vacations. And of course, with a name like Sagres, we have to be Portuguese, right? So, and it's funny, the way we tell our story is that we all know how in the 15th century, Sagres, the town of Sagres and the navigation school and Prince Henry became such an iconic figure and launched the age of discovery. And here we are in the 21st century, Sagres Vacations is bringing the world to Portugal. So we are sort of combining all of that and making that loop of bringing individuals to Portugal, small groups, we call them FITs, for frequent independent travelers and so forth. And we're reaching out to travel agencies in the United States and Canada and almost speaking a blank canvas and creating unique experiences for their clients. Behind me, you can see the traditional azulejo because I am in Portugal. And that's one of the workshops that we do for our clients. And, nothing more Portuguese than drinking a good port wine and trying your hand at an azulejo workshop and a cooking workshop as well. So these are really unique experiences we do as a company. But I have to say, when we sort of enter into this market and created these experiences, a lot of us, a lot of the community and even some of our family sort of looked at us like a travel agency. This was 10 years ago. Was obviously the era of the onlines, the big TripAdvisor, all of the websites that created travel. And here we are, a young company. My wife and I started the business to start a travel business to bring clients to Portugal. And people thought we were a bit undocked, let's say. But our passion was such that we overcome that. And how we overcame that, I think, is important for this conversation, because our slogan and how we build our itineraries is experience-based travel. So we bring American clients, people from Canada and elsewhere. We have an office in Porto, in Portugal as well. So we are bringing clients from Asia, from South Africa, from Europe as well. And we bring them and build these amazing experience-based travel where they're not just seeing, but they're feeling, they're tasting, they are hearing everything Portugal. So everything from cooking workshops with a Michelin star chef. Last year we were very fortunate to have George Mendes, who's a Michelin star chef himself, host a culinary journey of Portugal, where we ate our way from the north of the country all the way to the south. I mean, I must have gained about 15 pounds during that trip, but it was well worth it. I mean, let's be honest. We like to eat, and that's, there's nothing more about the eating and drinking great wine. And one of the things we did on this itinerary is we actually hosted workshops with Pedro Lemos in Porto, as well as Henrique Sapso in Lisbon. We closed their restaurant at Alma for our group. That's an example of how we showcase the Portuguese traditions, the culture, through the food for these clients. And alternatively, or complementary, we also hosted a photo tour with Pete Souza, who was a well-known photographer. He used to be the photographer for Barack Obama during his presidency. And we had a great amount of press in Portugal and internationally as well, where we travel all throughout Portugal from the north again and ending in the Azores, because Pete's family is from the Azores. So he himself had not been back to Portugal, with the exception of an overnight when he stopped in with President Obama in Lisbon. He himself had not seen the mainland. He had not been to the Azores for several years, for 8, 9, 10 years. So we actually connected him with his heritage, but also by doing that, we used his influence to bring other people that love photography and of course love Pete, and were able to learn from him through a 10-day itinerary where we had amazing pictures of Portugal, and the people that traveled with these amateur and professional photographers that traveled on this program were able to talk to Pete and have a very hands-on experience. And I think, the difference with us is that we are not just showcasing the country. We are not just building a bridge from America or Canada or these countries to Portugal and hope that people enjoy it. And I think, connecting and communicating is so important these days. We are connecting the clients when they arrive all throughout the entire trip, be it with these workshop experiences, be it with doing ovos moles in Aveiro, where again the tile work, or the amazing experiences in Furnas with the underground cooking with the cozido. There's so much to see, and you really want to have a local expert to be able to guide these clients around. So we're very fortunate and very, very, very humbled to be able to be these unofficial ambassadors of Portugal by showcasing all of these experiences to the clients.
Thank you. It's amazing. When I ask an American which has been traveling around Portugal, what do you like most about Portugal? Well, he immediately says it's small, but it's so diverse. It looks like America.
It's a small country with big experiences.
Yeah. The human touch of people. When they approach people, they feel safe here. And they have the islands, they have the Alentejo, it's so different from the north. And of course, I think everybody falls in love about our food and wine, and which give me the opportunity to present you to Rachel and ask her, how did you fall in love about Portugal?
Great. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Wonderful. So my name's Rachel. I know most of the presenters. Nice to see you guys. I'm based in Napa, California, and I am the founder of Rachel Ferris Selections, which is a Portuguese wine and olive oil online boutique. So based sort of here in Napa, but I ship wine and olive oil to customers all over the United States, and I direct import these products from Portugal. So I really see the business as a modern trading company, and my roots, I actually found out during COVID that I do have Portuguese diasporic roots, and they go very far back. My grandmother's family was actually originally from, Iberia, and we think Portugal, and they were of the Jewish diaspora that ended up in Shanghai. So they were traders, and they traded throughout, which is now known as the opium route, throughout the Middle East, and ended up in Shanghai, and then immigrated to San Francisco, where my mother was born. So my roots are, in Portugal to some extent and in trading. And I decided to start a startup here to promote Portuguese products because I love Portuguese wine and love Portuguese products, and just didn't find the small independent boutique producers here in California that I had fallen in love with on so many trips to Portugal, where I've been going since I was a kid. So I'm just going to show you my website real quickly because I am an e-commerce company and it's all online. So I think it's important. So I'm going to share the screen. Are you guys seeing the screen? Just one sec. Okay, so this is my website, and it's very simple, but the goal is really to promote the stories about small independent wine producers in Portugal and olive oil producers and a few other products, which I'll talk about directly here with customers in the US. So as you can see, I'm doing a holiday tasting with one of my Dora wine producers. I have a wine club where I have people that sign up for a subscription-based, wine club service all across the U.S. And I ship a variety of different wines from different producers a few times a year to them. And the beauty behind the wine club is that it allows me to kind of introduce people who are really curious or excited about Portuguese wine to new producers that maybe they themselves wouldn't have bought off the website. And it allows me to tell the stories, do tastings, and directly connect them with producers. I've also started with a few other products, as you can see here. And my main kind of bread and butter, if you will, are wines. So I direct import a variety of wines. I have a small selection right now, but I have producers from Bairrada, Douro, Trás-os-Montes, other regions across Portugal, and I also have a port shop. So I'm going to stop the screen sharing so you can check out the website on your own. But as far as how I got here and how I got to wanting to open up an online boutique, I actually personally don't even shop very much online. I prefer in person. But I started the boutique sort of out of necessity as a startup to get these Portuguese products here and into people's hands. So I worked in the wine business for a large national importer of wines. My family also makes wine in Sonoma, which is next to Napa here in California. And the more I worked in the business, the more I kind of realized that I wasn't seeing Portuguese wines in the broad market throughout California, except for port and pretty inexpensive Vinho Verde, which I love, but I knew there was so much more in Portugal, and there were so many small producers I just didn't see here. So, coming from an entrepreneurial family, I thought, hey, I want to start a wine import company and bring these wines, I want to bring these wines to California. So I started doing informational interviews with other wine importers, retail shops, and I got the same response. And this was a few years ago, which was, oh yeah, the wines are incredible, but they're too hard to sell to people. There's too many wines here, Italy, France, Spain. No one knows anything about Portugal. No one can pronounce the varietals. No one really knows what the regions are. It's very confusing. And ultimately, as a retailer, as a restaurant, we need to sell, and we can't bank on these wines. So, I thought, we do have the internet, and direct to consumer is kind of a budding market. And I thought, I'm going to try to import these wines and just bypass that whole system and that whole response, which I obviously didn't like, and just sell directly to the consumer, because I'm sure there's people out there like me who will love these wines. So I started just myself, very scrappy, very startup. And I know Angela and Marco from, festivals that I've been at or different events doing wine tastings, and I built up a following. And this year with COVID, online retail has really grown, and the response to the business has been amazing. And I've not only proven that, yes, people want Portuguese wines, but they want more, because there are so many, United States is such a big country. There are so many people with a nostalgic connection to Portugal, who understand the value of the products and not only want wine, but olive oil, textiles, sardines. They want the whole experience. And for a lot of people living, in rural areas in the United States or areas that don't have as many imported products, it's hard to find. So right now, my business, like I said, is shipping products across the US. Actually, some of my biggest kind of target groups are in states that maybe you wouldn't think would have a big love for Portugal, like Oklahoma and Michigan. And the connection is either people of the diaspora who, remember and love these products and can't find them, or people who have traveled to Portugal from the US and just have had an incredible experience and want to recreate that experience at home. So right now I'm building, finishing out the holiday season, and come 2021, I'm expanding the team. So I have someone on the ground in Portugal who's helping me with sourcing, and I'm building out the business here in the US with the goal of really importing more products from Portugal, especially textiles and ceramics. And the goal is to expand the business to become really not just a wine company, but a Portuguese kind of lifestyle business where you can find products that help you recreate Portugal at home, which is what my customers want. So that's kind of the big picture. And in thinking about a social network like this, I mean, for me, it would be incredible to not only connect with potential customers, of the diaspora, but also connect with businesses in Portugal. I mean, I'm just starting the exploration of textile companies. And I mean, as you know, there are so many, and I'm looking up emails, trying to, find people, and there's all sorts of, hiccups with that, without having a lot of established connections. So if I had a go-to kind of network with referrals where I could easily connect with different businesses and start talking about, what they're looking for and what I'm looking for, it would really streamline the process for me. So that being said, if anyone has any ideas or any companies that they want to throw my way, again, this is a startup and we're super flexible. So you can grab my email from the site and email me. So thank you. And let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. I think you'll get connected through the platform and thank you for promoting our products in the US. Really having people from Oklahoma buying products, it's wonderful to know. Before we continue, and we'll continue just for a few questions. We have something to comply, which is we're going to release a small survey for everybody because we have to, as a European funded project, we have to comply to this. So I think my colleague Raquel will share a small survey for people to comply. But I would like to get back to Marco because when you said when you brought Pizzosa to Portugal, I think you just mentioned that you get good media coverage, but you had excellent media coverage. When I looked out, I didn't know it was you, but after we talked, I Googled it and I thought that every newspaper, local, regional, big newspaper mentioned the visit about those Pizzos and the photographers. How was the impact of that show in there?
Well, for us, it was good, and I mean, it was great coverage. Any coverage, I think, any media coverage, I think we can all agree is good. Especially when it involves such a big impact on the country, and imagine photographing the beautiful architecture in Porto and in Lisbon. We actually were very lucky because not only were we photographing just the streets and the locals, but we came upon a wedding in Lisbon in one of the main squares, and Pete was photographing the bride and the groom, and it just became part of the festivity. So it was really amazing to kind of be part of that moment. But to your question, Miguel, it was amazing to see the response from not just the Portuguese media, but also from the international media, because I think people were sort of looking for these stories that connected. They're looking for stories that are not just about going on vacation. They're not just about traveling to a place. They're also about absorbing the culture, and in this case, absorbing the culture through the niche and through the telephoto lens of Juan Pete Souza and the 18 other photographers that are on tour. So I think that's what the media picked up on. It was another way to see Portugal. And that's what we try to create on every one of our itineraries is, be it those cooking workshops or the private wine tastings or just a family type of experience. There are so many different ways to see the country. And we really also push a lot of the small local businesses, be it restaurants, be it the workshops itself, the tile workshops or the olive oil or the old ceramic workshop with the old wheel as opposed to the mechanical one. Because that is a way to see the traditions, how my grandparents and my great-great-grandparents used to create artifacts, what we sell and what we see today in stores. And the clients are actually able to see it being done, and in many times actually being able to get hands-on. So it's I think a new way of seeing and experiencing the country.
Thank you, Marco. We have a question to Carolina. There's somebody here interested to know about sister cities, because she's from Cascais and she knows that Cascais is sister city to Miami, and she is interested to know about something about retirement and longevity. Can you explore a little bit more, if there is a program or something?
Okay, so our sister city program with Cascais and Miami Beach was signed in December, actually like a year ago this week. It was signed and there was a group of people that went there. The sister city program it used to be, as I used to call it, more kumbaya, okay? It was more for education, cultural exchange, and travel, to go explore the country. Over the last 10 years, though, they brought in new board members, people with more entrepreneurial, not NGOs, okay? So when they started bringing people like myself in, of course, we're like, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. There's opportunities. Let's use our connections through the State Department with governments in other countries on economic development, on really exercising education. And so that's how the Sister City program really now works. We have country representatives. I represent the country of Portugal. We have state representatives. I also represent the state of Florida. But those, what we look for are cities that match in size, in business, and economic, and for economic development, all right? So looking at, right now, we're working with the city of Miami to be a sister city with the city of Porto. Why? Because of the port agreements and everything else that we currently have in place with Lisbon, and we did the presentation that PALCUS had back in October, and we spotlighted Miami. The Sister City program is what signed our first MOU with the Port of Sines 5 years ago. And the result was a 365% increase in trade that goes through the Port of Miami now with Portuguese product. Okay. So it works, and I would be more than happy. I can put my name or number to talk to anyone that's interested in Sister City programs. We're always looking for new people and new cities, and I'd be more than happy to work with you on that.
Lovely, lovely. I think you can share it in Q&A. Rachel, there's a question here. Did you, for instance, find any product that you would taste here in Portugal and you said, this looks lovely, but it's not ready to go to the United States due to some particular things? What would it take to a product succeed in the United States? A product, local product. What do you think?
I think a lot of that depends on the method of distribution in the United States. Because, personally speaking, because my business is very boutique, people are looking for my kind of selections. And so it's sort of easier for me to sell what I have because people trust it. that's different in a store. You know, let's say you have an import store or even a Portuguese wine shop, for example, hypothetically, and you have hundreds of selections, you know, on the shelf. I would say in the United States, their branding is very important. And if you want to get down to the specifics, labels. So wine, we can talk about wine, but it's really any products. The actual label and what's on the label and how it looks is important, because people shop with their eyes, especially in person. And, you know, people judge a book by its cover. So if, you know, I've worked with a lot of Portuguese producers that have very old school labels, like the original labels, which sentimentally is amazing and have great stories, but they don't help sell the wines because they're, you know, they look like they're from the 1800s. So I would say that an eye towards marketing and just thinking about who you're, you know, who the final consumer is and what the challenges are with that is important. And I know that's hard, maybe with kind of marketing and branding, to tie yourself away from the history a little bit of what you want and what you know should be there. But for the international market, I think that the look and the feel sometimes needs to be different than what it is for the home market.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think that everybody's been sharing here information, and I thank you. This is one of the purposes of this webinar. So Marco, after this pandemic goes, do you think that we'll have many Americans flying up to Portugal and meet the country again?
I think so. I think there's actually, once the pandemic is over and there is a sense of security, especially with the vaccines on the way, and people feel safe to travel, I think Portugal will be a very valid option, especially given what Portugal has to offer. You mentioned, I think earlier, with such a small country, but very diverse, you know, and Americans love the food, they love the wine, but they also love how easy it is to travel within the country, and how, you know, in the United States, we're used to travel 25, 35 minutes within our town for the supermarket or for a coffee run. In 35 minutes in Portugal, you can be in two very distinct cities in very different landscapes. And that's an added advantage. And I just think, you know, going back to this venue and what we're talking about here, connecting people and being able to receive tourists, because the Portuguese have a very unique way, and I think we've been awarded the top destination for Europe for the last 4 years for a reason. It's not just about the food and wine, but it's also about how we welcome tourists. We welcome them almost like our extended family, and we see that on all of our surveys. We see that in all of our feedback, and I think Americans and Canadians and others are looking for that connection. They're not just looking to travel, they're looking to connect, to learn, especially coming from a place where there's no tremendous amount of history. When you travel to Portugal with 900 plus years of history, you are going to learn, you are going to immerse yourself in the culture and the history, and you're going to have those unique experiences that are going to be very hard to replicate anywhere else in the world.
Okay. I think we have no further questions. And before I pass my word to Angela, I would like to thank you for your passionate testimonials about our country. The reason we're doing this is for you, for the Portuguese communities, for everybody. This is an easy platform, free of charge. This is free for anyone. Like I said, this is all about inclusion. Anyone can register. And we're here to exchange ideas, to exchange concepts, products, and of course, networking and business all around communities. We've done business webinars in France and Switzerland so far. We are going to do it with Brazil, UK, Germany, South Africa. And everybody is very keen and very interested in sharing all around the Portuguese communities. Next year, we're going to involve Belgium, Holland, Luxembourg, And I think we're going to create a large community for the Portuguese. Thank you so much for sharing your views. Thank you for sharing your histories. And thank you, Angela, for supporting us. And well, I give the word to you. Thank you.
Sure, no
Sorry,
problem.
Miguel.
Okay.
Before closing, we have a message from Madam Secretary of the State.
Boa tarde a todas e a todos. A nossa diáspora é constituída por cerca de 5 milhões de cidadãos dispersos por todo o mundo. Muitos são quadros de multinacionais altamente qualificados, outros são empresários com investimentos em diversos setores. Mas todos eles são elos fundamentais em redes múltiplas que a nossa diáspora estabelece. Essas redes, sejam redes afetivas, empresariais, científicas ou culturais, constituem um fator decisivo na ligação entre as empresas portuguesas e a sua internacionalização. Sabemos que o aumento sustentável das exportações é fundamental para o crescimento das empresas portuguesas e para o desenvolvimento do país. Tal só é possível alargando a base exportadora a micro e pequenas empresas que representam 99% do tecido empresarial português. Esta tipologia de empresas constitui, portanto, um enorme potencial para o aumento das exportações do nosso país. Sabemos, contudo, que esse aumento implica um conjunto de desafios para estas empresas e para a sua estrutura, designadamente no que diz respeito à dimensão da produção, aos canais de comunicação e aos canais da distribuição. A importância da diáspora na internacionalização das PMEs e em especial das micro e pequenas empresas é por isso central. A diáspora tem a capacidade única de disponibilizar canais de comunicação diretos, fiáveis e com um reduzido esforço de comunicação. Gostaria ainda de referir que o Programa Nacional de Apoio ao Investimento da Diáspora tem como um dos seus objetivos fomentar as exportações e apoiar a internacionalização dos negócios locais através da diáspora, nomeadamente através da articulação das redes internas, como a rede dos gabinetes de apoio ao imigrante, e as redes externas, a rede diplomática e consular, redes da ICEP e do Turismo de Portugal ou a rede das câmaras de comércio portuguesas pelo mundo. Portugal estende-se até onde chegam as suas comunidades. E os mercados em que a nossa diáspora está presente serão sempre mercados onde Portugal também já está. As oportunidades que daí advêm não devem ser desperdiçadas. Julgo que há um longo e frutífero caminho que já foi iniciado na continuação da internacionalização das PMEs portuguesas. Iniciativas como a PNAD e a Rede Global da Diáspora representam um marco decisivo nesse caminho.
To close the sitting, I give the floor to Mrs. Angela Costa Simões.
Thank you. Well, just a final note of thanks to everybody who participated today. We hope that you will take the time to visit the website. We'll provide the link to the Rede Global website, and we encourage everyone to register yourself as an individual, register your business, and really start to network with others in the diaspora and share details about what you're looking for, and reach out and try and connect with others that can potentially help you. And this is just the beginning. So we will be doing more of these webinars, not only here on Facebook, but keep an eye out for LinkedIn as well, and possibly YouTube and other platforms. This is the start of a great collaboration between PALCUS and Rede Global. And so we look forward to continuing to grow this network and participate in helping everyone in the diaspora become more successful, whatever that means for them, that we hope to encourage their success. Thank you to Rachel, Marco, and Carolina again for your time and sharing your stories and sharing your inspiration. We hope that many will visit your own websites, contact you, and also be inspired by your stories and take the next step with whatever venture that people out there are looking to accomplish. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you, Miguel, for bringing this opportunity to PALCUS. We are very much happy with the partnership and looking forward to growing it. And happy holidays, boas festas. Wish everyone a wonderful, safe, and sane holiday, even if we're not spending it with our loved ones because of COVID. But please be healthy, be safe, and until next time, thank you very much.
Feliz Natal to everybody.
Feliz Natal.
Thank you very much to all the speakers and participants. This session will now be concluded.